Welcome to today's EDGEy Conversations. Today we are going to be speaking to Clarence about the InterChurch Health Ministries Canada and really what's happening next, the history, and learning more about how they've more than pivoted. It's really reimagining what their role is in Canada. And so Clarence, welcome, and love to get started right away and to tell us a little bit about InterChurch Health Ministries.
Okay, Carla, thank you for inviting me to be part of this conversation. InterChurch Health Ministry began about 25 years ago. It was a pilot project that started in Oshawa, Ontario, which is where I live, and five churches got together to work on the concept of church health ministry and parish nursing. So it was kind of introducing parish nursing into Canada. It had already been initiated in the United States and I think to some degree in the United Kingdom. And so our church, Westminster United Church, was one of the 5 pilot sites for doing this. And so the organization was set up after we got the pilot going, it was set up to be a national organization where we could use the pilot as evidence of the benefits this would have for church denominations and congregations. Within fairly quick order, like probably over a span of 2 years, we were able to get around 69 partners from different denominations and congregations across the country. And we were training parish nurses. So we were actually, through the partnership fees that we were receiving and grants that we received, we were in a position to do training for parish nurses. And so we did that for a number of years, but then the parish nurse group that had been trained, they were starting to get into their 70s. There were older nurses that were looking for a change in their profession. So as they started to retire, we were having great difficulty recruiting new candidates for parish nursing. And
I'm going to stop you there because I'm getting excited about let's start with the grassroots, because I love you have us on a cliffhanger here now, Clarence, of what happens next. So we're gonna come back to the cliffhanger. I'd love to go back to even how this started. I love that this started off as a pilot. I think that's so cool. Imagine a pilot that has 5 right away, and then right away you have 69 other partners. That would really show that there was energy and that this was exciting. What I'd love is a little bit of reflection from you about InterChurch Health Ministries and how health, and obviously so many parish nurses were part of communities of faith, but how health is actually linked with communities of faith, and where do you see that intersection? I'd love to spend some time in reflecting upon that and why this was so important.
Okay, so the original founders of InterChurch Health Ministries, there was Reverend Henry Fisher from the Lutheran denomination, and Maureen McLeod, who just recently passed away. She was with the Presbyterian Church, and so they were 2 that originally started it, and they were kind of inspired by the parish nursing initiative underway in the United States, and we're bringing that to Canada. And their belief was that the church has a ministry of health and healing, the health and healing ministry of Jesus Christ. So, the parish nurse would be someone who has knowledge of the secular healthcare system and what benefits are available through that, and could be an advocate and help people in the congregation to navigate the health system, but also would have a knowledge of the church health ministry. And so it was, and so having the parish nurse as part of the team, the health ministry team, was, and for pastoral care as well, was a real benefit, I suppose, for congregational clergy and parishes. And so that was sort of the basis of it. But as InterChurch Health Ministry began to grow, it focused more on the parish nursing.
Right.
And for my part, I was part of that original pilot exercise at Westminster. I was a member of the health cabinet at the church, and I chaired the health cabinet. And for me, I wanted to go more into church health ministry. That the real healing is the power of the Spirit, and so when Jesus talks about our being living as one who's spiritually whole, that we are whole persons, that we are a temple for the Holy Spirit, that we embody the Holy Spirit, that the Spirit can bring healing to us. But we need to grow in our faith and our hope and our love, not only for God, but for one another and for creation. So there's a wholeness to it all. And so to what extent are the churches taking us there, helping us to learn to be whole, to live as whole, spiritually whole persons? And I found that that seemed to get pushed to the background, and it was more about the parish nurse or parish nursing ministry. So anyways, I was on that health cabinet for a number of years, and then I went on to other committees of the church, and then when I retired from my professional life, I got back into this and went on the board of InterChurch Health Ministry. I became the chair of the board, and we then had to pivot because of what was happening with InterChurch Health Ministry.
So this is really, I love how you frame this. So the history is really telling, I think, because it really was the fact that spiritual health is part of the overall health that you've been talking about. And I love when you said about the founders, it was Ministry of Health and Healing, right? It was kind of the framing. And so although one way of delivering that and living into that was parish nurses, that was kind of like the how. But the why was the Ministry of Health and Healing. And as you said, like that is what we are about. And so when things have changed, and obviously at that cliffhanger we had before, as parish nurses are aging, it doesn't change your mission as InterChurch Health Ministries. Like your mission really stays the same as Ministry of Health and Healing and what you're getting excited about. And so what I love is that kind of is your foundation into what's next, which is the cliffhanger. So what happened?
Okay, so in more recent times, the organization was, it was losing partnerships, or they weren't being renewed, let's put it that way. And parish nurses were retiring. And so we decided that parish nursing, the training of parish nurses could be done by other organizations, such as the Westberg Institute for Faith Community Nursing in Memphis. And then I think some of the universities and theological departments are doing training of parish nurses as well. So we got out of that role of training the parish nurse and focused more on church health ministry. So that focus is really embodied in our concept of holistic care and wellness practices. So there are kind of two sides to the coin. So the holistic care would be the unique role that the church plays is the intentional spiritual care of the congregants. And so seeing the person as an integrated whole person in God, that what we do at the church in terms of faith and hope and love for one another and connecting with God, connecting with one another, this is vitally important to the health and well-being of people. And it is complementary to the healthcare system. It's not competitive with it. It's in my view, quite complementary. So we're trying to raise awareness about, this concept of holistic care and learning to live as one who is spiritually whole. So that part of the exercise is about practices like meditation, contemplation, contemplative practices. Those are what's in the tool bag, if you will, for the church. Like
Right. Yeah.
That people who are going through anxieties and depressions and, diagnosis of serious illnesses, et cetera, and all the pain and suffering that we're experiencing in these times that we're in, the concept of the identification of Jesus as the healer is for our time. We need to focus more on our relationship with Jesus Christ, and to grow in that relationship, and to let go of a lot of what is burdening us, and that's very much what contemplative practices are about. So as the church, is able to help congregants or parishioners to do that journey, to take that spiritual journey, there will be health and healing benefits for those who do, and it's a form of healing that is unique. Like in our healthcare system, it's more a medical model based on, oh well, okay, we're going to zero in on your liver, and you seem to have problems with that, and it's not looking at the whole person so much as diagnostics of a particular site or organ or injury. But when one is injured, it isn't affecting just the body. It's affecting the emotions. It's affecting the mental health. It's affecting your spiritual well-being. So we truly are holistic people, and we need to take heed to what Jesus was trying to teach us.
Right. And I love that when the language around holistic, you actually use, sometimes people misspell it almost, or I know it's the proper, it starts with an HO, like a whole, but I like that you're spelling it with a W at the beginning. So it's like the whole, as opposed to a whole.
Yeah.
And so I love that. And I think that that's really important in terms of like how we talk about this, as we are whole people. We don't have holes. We're trying to, some of us do, right? Which is why we have to look at us as the whole person.
Exactly. And if you look at, from a psychological point of view, like modern psychology looks at the person and it says, okay, well, you're more than your ego or your limited self. You have a conscious dimension to you. You have an unconscious. It's all part of the whole. And so even in terms of self-care, one needs to be focused on growing in wholeness. God says, be whole as I am whole, holy as I am holy. So from the earliest times of the scriptures in the Old Testament, there's encouragements from the prophets and that to be whole, to be one. And the way to do that is to be still, learn to be still, to take time to just center oneself on the presence within, the holy presence. And so that's sort of, how we're seeing those that are on the board of ICHM are
Right.
seeing the church as having a unique role there. And when you mentioned about the other spelling of holistic with an H, well, that holistic is more to do with a system, like a whole system. So like things like naturopathic medicine looks at, okay, your complex being, and there's an interplay between different organs in the body and systems, in the body. And so there's a alternative form of medicine there, but it's based on the root holism, whereas wholeness is a different meaning than holism. Wholeness is that we are all one. When Jesus encourages us to love your neighbor as yourself, and to love God with all your heart, mind, strength, and soul, he begins that by saying, the Lord our God is one. So love the Lord your God with all your heart. So we forget that quite often. The Lord your God is one. We are all part of one universe, one creative presence that's within and about us, and we need to learn to be connected to that. And in this time, especially that we're going through with all of the upheavals and pandemics and mental health crisis and social upheavals, et cetera, we need to learn to stay connected and be connected to one another.
So I love that you've been rooted in like what you are about, like the mission. You've continued to not have to hold on to the parish nurse as a model and kind of like relinquish control around that, explored what could be next, leaning into like this discernment process. And now you have a new event coming up, and you're really thinking about like what you as InterChurch Health Ministries have to offer to Canada. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So we're going to be, we actually had received a grant from the, what's the name of that project now? The Embracing the Spirit with the United Church. And that's allowed us to do this initiative called Join the Talk. So we want to get conversation going about this. And one of the components that we have developed for that Join the Talk initiative is a webinar that we're doing on November 17th. And it's entitled Holistic Care and Wellbeing Practices. And so our guest speaker is Reverend Dr. Helen Wordsworth, who's from the United Kingdom. She is the founder of parish nursing in the United Kingdom. She's a Baptist minister, and she is a trained parish nurse. She's trained in midwifery and tutoring, and she went back and completed a doctorate in practical theology. So our thought was, well, this is someone who understands parish nursing, but she also understands the theology that's at the root of all of this, about the health and healing ministry of Jesus. So she will be the person that we're hosting in our conversation about holistic care and wellness on November 17th. And then in addition to that, we're also looking at doing some podcasts where we will interview folks. We're looking for clergy and theologians that are here in Canada that would participate in the conversations. And we have an interview with a nurse, a professor of nursing at Laurentian University, who's developed a workshop on for Alzheimer's and where the church can be supportive of folks that are aging and dealing with Alzheimer's. So we'll do a podcast on that topic as well. And then all of this is being posted on our website. We've refurbished our website and our community site. So we have a community platform to engage folks in conversation about this topic.
Great. Well, this is super exciting. I love the direction you guys are headed. And I guess my final question will be like, people are excited about what you're up to. How do they get in contact with you?
Yeah, so they could come to our website. It's ichm.ca, and or send us an email at info@ichm.ca, and we will be happy to respond to them and set up an information forum if they would like. We have a community forum that can be accessed through our website, and there's a lot of information on the community forum as well. So and then we would be happy to connect folks with parish nurses that are still practicing, and or how to get into parish nursing if the person is desirous of that, or if you would like to be trained and mentored on how to play a more effective role on a health committee. So, our future plans are to develop more training materials around health committee members, for health committee members. But it's at this point we're regrouping, so we have to do it one step at a time here. And yeah, so that's where we're at.
Well, thank you. It sounds like lots to look forward to, and to continue hearing your story, and all the best on November 17th. Thanks so much for sharing your story.
Okay, thank you very much, Carla. Enjoyed.